Okay, welcome peeps. We're here on this segment to talk to YRSF-tinman about his recent escapades, his thoughts on the Brawl community, and hopefully give you guys some insights on him as a player. So thank you very much, Tinman, for coming out. Why don't you start by telling us your real name?
Well, Tina Dune. It's really hard to pronounce, but just think Tina and then is what I tell most people. But yeah, it's basically, it means he has come because I have two older sisters. So
Is that an African name?
yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so having two older sisters and then he has finally come. Kind of, that's what it
I guess your parents are just really ecstatic that they had a kid. Was there like a boy? So does that mean was there a circle of life incident where they were like holding you up in the delivery room?
Nothing like Lion King, no. But just, yeah, they wanted a boy. And
How do your sisters feel about that?
I think they're okay, really. Yeah, there's nothing.
Okay, fair enough. So let's talk about your Brawl. You play Brawl competitively.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who do you play as?
I main Olimar, and I sub-main Falco. I used to use Rob as well, but I kind of dropped on the tier list. I was like, no. So I like to, keep it with good characters.
That sounds good. You've pretty much risen through the ranks, because I do recall you as when you were a starting, budding player in the Brawl community. You were there were jokes about you. Like there were.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There were Tinman DI
There's no shortage.
There was no shortage of jokes. And now I think you've definitely risen to a level of prominence in the Brawl community. You want to talk about your experience of how you sort of come up from the ranks?
I mean, in the beginning, I would say placing-wise, I definitely wasn't terrible, but I still was a bad player, obviously, when you start out. And just because of, having those jokes made about me, I think that's actually one of the reasons that attributed to me, just getting stronger, because you always want to, stick it to people, and then having certain people kind of drop out for other games and certain other people kind of stay there but not have the same passion, more or less, that I did. Having motive and just overall passion helped me reach the level that I have right now.
That's fantastic to hear. So you recently went to BC. Tell us about that tournament name, and what the scene was like, and how is it different from the Eastern scene?
Well, the tournament was called Phoenix Brawl 6. And in terms of scene, I know that British Columbia is normally a smaller community than Ontario, but what made that tournament, kind of spectacular is that there was Alberta coming in and even Washington State. So it was more about the people that were there versus the scene itself, because there's multiple scenes. And when you're like that, everyone's traveling pretty much. Like half the people there were traveling. So that's it's kind of cool, just meeting a lot of other people who were coming from different places. And in terms of placement, I got 5th at that tournament in singles. So I played a lot of different people who I never, matchups especially, who I never would have played if I weren't traveling. So it's also definitely good to have a feel for the other side of Canada and see how West Coast is, put my name out there, and let them know that I'm chill and I'm kind of good at the game. So,
do they run their tournaments the same? Are they more lax about it, or are they how's their tournament scene?
I would say, yeah, they run a good tournament, definitely. And it's more or less the same format, because especially with the rule set that's been more or less standardized, and they had decided to adopt that one for this tournament, it was really nothing much to get used to. The only difference I could say is they favor non-elimination pools, so they'd still have pools and then do the bracket, and they wouldn't eliminate anyone.
Okay. That's fascinating. I don't even know what to say about that. So you play Olimar.
Yeah.
Right. So tell me, do you find it difficult as a player to play Olimar in a Meta Knight-dominated world?
I definitely do, just because Meta Knight is one of Olimar's worst matchups, as it is, and I decided to do as much as I can to make that my best matchup, and it was for a while, which also kind of helped me rise up in the ranks because I had that novelty factor using a character that not a lot of people, this isn't Falco or Diddy, and people didn't know the matchup. The thing is, once you do know the matchup, it's easy to exploit the character. And just real quick saying that Olimar is ridiculously broken, but ridiculously flawed. And it's just, you understand his flaws, and then it's like, you can't do much about them, so.
So you learn your character, you know his weaknesses, and then you learn his strengths, and then you use that against your opponent, right?
Pretty much, yeah, because if you don't know the matchup, you're not going to know his flaws. So I'm just using what's ridiculously broken about him. And if you do know the matchup, then I need to try and not get my weaknesses exploited, because one of them being the fact that my recovery is like not even there. So if you take me off stage, I don't really have much that I could do against you, especially against Meta Knight with 6 jumps and more priority than me. You just bait anything that I like, no options. It's gotten ridiculous against some people.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So the Unity rule set committee has recently banned Meta Knight. So I want to know your thoughts on that. Did you feel like, actually no, just give us some thoughts on your thoughts on the banning of Meta Knight. Necessary, not necessary?
Well, first of all, I am a member of the Unity Rule Set Committee, and I can say that we had a vote, and I did vote pro-ban on Meta Knight. And to sum up real quick why I believe he should be banned,
yeah.
It was pretty much just his matchup spread and his stages. He had nothing negative. And when the counterpick system, the idea is like to exploit a flaw in a character, and having a character that breaks that system just didn't feel right in the mix. There were other things such as the amount of like data character usage. He's over centralizing just because he's used a lot more than other characters, and some other things. But that's the main point I'd like to say. It's just the fact that you can't counterpick him. It doesn't work with the system. It breaks him.
Okay.
So making too many rules around just to keep him.
Why did it take so long to ban him?
It's ultimately the data, because people are saying, oh, you don't really know. Like, you have to have a statistical, thesis building up to, why you should have him banned. And then once we accumulated that data, MLG helping a lot because you have employees and having the match slips and other data that we've gathered, then it's like now we have what we need, the evidence to support this.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. So you were recently signed up to the team YRSF, York Region Street Fighters. Do you care to tell us a bit more about YRSF and what does that mean now that you're a signed player?
Well, York Region Street Fighters, obviously they started off in Street Fighter, and the fact that I'm a signed player means that they're branching out. It means that they care about other, games that are just outside the SRK forums. So I'm not the only Smash player that they've reached out to. They also reached out to Melee, and they have a team of about 6 people now, and they want to keep on expanding. And that's something that I can definitely respect, is the fact that someone cares. That's the biggest thing, and it makes me want to represent them to the best of my ability.
So have you, has that really changed who you are? Like, have you had to be a little bit more professional, or?
I'd definitely say that, in representing them, I do need to be professional, but it hasn't changed my personality. There's still it's just about knowing when to act, honestly, because I can still act casual in certain places. So I don't think it was a huge transition, and it's not something I'm uncomfortable with at all. So.
Okay. So do you see more Brawl players becoming signed?
I would say not really, just because it seems like the other games, like the SRK games, are going to get a lot more focus from any sort of sponsorship, and Brawl is being branched out to, and that's something that would happen over time, but not anytime immediately. So I would say no. I don't see anyone getting signed anytime soon.
Awesome. So last question. Where do you see Brawl in the global esports scene? You have StarCraft 2 that's just right up here, #1, clearly. Then you got Heroes of New Earth and League of Legends just floating around the second, Counter-Strike and Street Fighter. Where's Brawl? Where do you see Brawl, and do you see it developing itself to go further in the ranks of esports?
Well, there's definitely many categories to this question because there's the population-wise, and I think we definitely have the people to support in a full esports, circuit for Brawl. However, when it comes to how popular the game is or how it can stand in esports, our biggest shot was really MLG, and we had that and we blew it kind of. And because of losing that opportunity, it kind of seems that we might not have another chance to make it big. So even though we do have a popular game, as far as people go, we don't necessarily have a popular game as far as esports goes because we lost one of our biggest opportunities to get there.
So thanks very much, guys, for tuning in. You guys at home can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Check out more videos on ESChamp.com and follow more escapades from Tin Man here. Check you later.